a better understanding of the world around you, for a greater knowledge of the world you live in. Wolf and Dessauer in downtown Fort Wayne and downtown Huntington brings the Screen News Digest, a chapter of living history, into your classroom.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States. Members of the Congress, I have the great pleasure, the highest privilege, and the distinguished, and I might also add, personal honor of presenting to you the President of the United States. Speaker, Mr. President, members of the House and the Senate, my fellow Americans. I come before you tonight to report on the State of the Union for the third time. Tonight, the cup of peril is full in Vietnam. Tonight, as so many nights before, young Americans struggle and young Americans die in a distant land. Tonight, as so many nights before, the American nation is asked to sacrifice the blood of its children and the fruits of its labor for the love of its freedom. How many times in my lifetime and in yours have the American people gathered as they do now to hear their president tell them of conflict and tell them of danger? Each time they have answered. They've answered with all the effort that the security and the freedom of this nation required. And they do again tonight in Vietnam. Not too many years ago, Vietnam was a peaceful, if troubled land. In the north was an independent communist government. In the south, a people struggled to build a nation with the friendly help of the United States. There were some in South Vietnam who wished to force communist rule on their own people, but their progress was slight. Their hope of success was dim. Then, little more than 6 years ago, North Vietnam decided on conquest. And from that day to this, soldiers and supplies have moved from north to south in a swelling stream that's swallowing the remnants of revolution and aggression. And as the assault mounted, our choice gradually became clear. We could leave, abandoning South Vietnam to its attackers and to certain conquest, or we could stay and fight beside the people of South Vietnam. We stayed, and we will stay until... And we will stay until aggression has stopped. We will stay because A just nation cannot leave to the cruelties of its enemies a people who have staked their lives and independence on America's solemn pledge, a pledge which has grown through the commitments of 3 American presidents. We will stay because in Asia and around the world are countries whose independence rests in large measure on confidence in America's word and in America's protection. To yield to force in Vietnam would weaken that confidence, would undermine the independence of many lands, and would whet the appetite of aggression. We would have to fight in one land, and then we'd have to fight in another, or abandon much of Asia to the domination of communism. And we do not intend to abandon Asia to conquest. Last year, the nature of the war in Vietnam changed again. Swiftly increasing numbers of armed men from the north crossed the borders to join forces that were already in the south. Attack and terror increased, spurred and encouraged by the belief that the United States lacked the will to continue and that their victory was near. Despite our desire to limit conflict, it was necessary to act, to hold back the mounting aggression, to give courage to the people of the South, and to make our firmness clear to the North. Thus, we began limited air action against military targets in North Vietnam. We increased our fighting force to its present strength tonight of 190,000 men. These moves have not ended the aggression, but they have prevented its success. The aims of the enemy have been put out of reach by the skill and the bravery of Americans and their allies, and by the enduring courage of the South Vietnamese, who I can tell you have lost 8 men last year for every one of ours. The enemy is no longer closer to victory. Time is no longer on his side. There is no cause to doubt the American commitment. Our decision to stand firm has been matched by our desire for peace. In 1965 alone, we had 300 private talks for peace in Vietnam with friends and adversaries throughout the world. Able and experienced spokesmen have visited on behalf of America more than 40 countries. We have talked to more than 100 governments, all 113 that we have relations with, and some that we don't. We've talked to the United Nations, and we've called upon all of its members to make any contribution that they can toward helping obtain peace. In public statements and in private communications, to adversaries and to friends, in Rome and Warsaw, in Paris and Tokyo, in Africa and throughout this hemisphere, America has made her position abundantly clear. We seek neither territory nor bases, economic domination or military alliance in Vietnam. We fight for the principle of self-determination, that the people of South Vietnam should be able to choose their own course, choose it in free election, without violence, without terror, and without fear. We have carried our quest for peace to many nations and peoples because we share this planet with others whose future in large measure is tied to our own action and whose counsel is necessary to our own hopes. We have found understanding and support, and we know they wait with us tonight for some response that could lead to peace. Until peace comes, or if it does not come, our course is clear. We will act as we must to help protect the independence of the valiant people of South Vietnam. We will strive to limit the conflict, for we wish neither increased destruction, nor do we want to invite increased danger. And let me be absolutely clear. The days may become months, and the months may become years, but we will stay as long as aggression commands us to battle. How many men who listen to me tonight have served their nation in other wars? How very many are not here to listen? The war in Vietnam is not like these other wars. Yet, finally, war is always the same. It is young men dying in the fullness of their promise. It is trying to kill a man that you do not even know well enough to hate. It is a crime against mankind. There's so much courage and so much will and so many dreams must be flung on the fires of war and death. To all of those caught up in this conflict, we therefore say again tonight, let us choose peace, and with it the wondrous works of peace. And beyond that, the time when hope reaches toward consummation, and life is the servant of life. In this work, we plan to discharge our duty to the people whom we serve. This is the State of the Union.
To widen your horizons, to stimulate your interest in things going on about you, Wolf and Dessau, one of America's great department stores, has presented the Screen News Digest as a public service.